We didn't do any work to it. It's going to close before the end of the year, $70,000. Another flip, we're going to make $54,000 on. And those are deals we cherry picked, right?
Yeah.
And decided to do. So that's what I love about wholesaling and why, whether you're just getting started or experienced.
Welcome to the Next Level Income Show, where it's our goal to take your income, your investments, and your life to the next level. I'm your host, Chris Larson. If you haven't yet, get a copy of our book for free at our website, nextlevelincome.com. That's www.nextlevelincome.com. Just click on the book link, and I'll even send you a copy if you put your address in. On today's show, we have Dean Rogers. Dean began his career in the NFL with the San Diego Chargers. Dean soon realized that if he kept playing, his health would be at stake. After walking away from the NFL, he's been in the real estate industry since 2013, leading him to building a successful business in California. Since then, Dean has flipped and wholesaled hundreds of houses and now has a rental portfolio in excess of $10 million. He's passionate about real estate and helping others learn how to build wealth and freedom. In 2022, Dean created the Wholesaling Playbook to provide a resource for others that want to take their real estate investing business to the next level. On today's show, Dean's going to share a little bit more about his story, some of the things he's learned along the way, as well as the hardships and struggles on his journey to success. Dean, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited.
Absolutely. No, I'm excited as well. And as we were chatting before the podcast started here, you know, we've been doing the show for about 5 years, and sometimes I forget, you know, there's a lot of new listeners. They're just getting started on their journey. And one of the things I love about real estate is that, you know, there's something for everybody out there, right? Like, you know, you can do commercial real estate, but you can do development, you can do fix and flips. You know, you specialize in wholesaling. I can't wait to talk a little bit more about that here for our listeners today. But I think more importantly, Dean, you have a really interesting story. And I'm not going to spoil it for the listeners. I want you to share with us your story. I know you're out in California. We were talking about kind of our both similar backgrounds with farming families and kind of being from rural areas. But maybe you could share a little bit more personally about kind of how you got started and, you know, your career in the NFL as well.
Yeah. So my career started in the NFL. You know, my childhood dream came true. And it was an incredible experience. I mean, there's nothing in my lifetime, I don't think. I mean, who knows where life will lead me, but it'll be pretty darn hard to match the feeling and experience I had throughout that whole time. You know, my whole life growing up, I'd always dreamt of playing as a professional athlete. And I know growing up when we were in class and you'd fill out, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'd always be a little embarrassed to write down professional athlete, you know, but I truly wanted to be. And that's what I love most. And like you were saying, I grew up in a small little town in Central California called Visalia. And there's nothing but farms and dairies. That's the major industry. And there was not a lot to do. I mean, there was really sports, family, church, friends and family, like that's all that there was, right? And going to school. So sports was my passion and always did well at it, was always good at sports. And once high school came around, you know, excelled at high school, got all the accolades, first team all league, starting to get letters from colleges, but I was really under recruited. I was a tall, white running back that wasn't that fast. I was fast enough, but like wasn't really in my position that made it easy for scouts, and starting to get looked at as at tight end, and finally got a scholarship offer from a small D1 AA school, UC Davis. And they were the only ones that really gave me love. And you know, I had a chip on my shoulder about that, but I thought to myself, one day I'll stop playing football. So UC Davis is a Davis, you know, kind of the rise up. And, you know, flash forward to the end of my career, first team all league, you know, first team all American, and having scouts come to practice and stuff like that. I was starting to set in a little bit more that it was possible, but there was still that kind of doubt because it wasn't, you know, like you see some of these guys at college now where the scouts are showing up with money practically. And truthfully now these days. And so I got the call. I got the call from the Chargers, and they said, pack your bags, tomorrow morning. So that's kind of the short version of getting there. But
Yeah.
Chris, literally overnight, like out of a movie, uh, you know, everything was crazy. The first day showing up and walking up the staircase to the owner, Dean Spano, shaking my hand, walking into the room with a contract sitting on the table, signed a 3-year deal. And now I'm shaking hands with Philip Rivers and Antonio Gates and guys I was playing with on the video games literally like a week before,
Yeah.
are my teammates, and they're talking to me and like a couple lockers away. Like it was absolutely crazy and surreal. And so here I am, made it. And from the very beginning, like played lights out, was playing really good. Norv Turner was the head coach, telling me I was going to have a long career, and kept telling me that like right away, and kept telling me. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. And then I get in the games, and now I'm playing really good in the games. And it's like, dude, this is nuts. This is crazy. And everything about it was like a fairy tale. And like overnight, you have status, you have fame, you have like endless opportunity, and everybody wants a piece of you. They want to spend time with you. They want to get tickets from you. They want to, they want to get your autograph. It's not like I was Philip Rivers, but people are wanting your autograph. They're wanting pictures with you. And it was nuts. So I like to give the analogy, if anybody listening to this has seen HBO's series Hard Knocks and HBO series Ballers, it's like the perfect marriage of those two, because it was throat intense business side of the reality of the NFL. And everybody's super alpha, testosterone driven, wants to be the best. And then you have like the Hollywood side too. So it was just
I'll have to watch those with the boys.
You do. Yeah.
Ballers and Hard Knocks. Yeah, man. So let's take a quick pause. I want to resume that story, but one of the things you mentioned, kind of almost like that imposter syndrome, right? Where you're like, you're doing well, but you're like, oh, am I really good enough? Am I going to get there? Yeah. And then you get there and you're like, wait a minute, is this real life? And you keep trying hard. I think, my boys play lacrosse, so they're 11 and 13, and actually, by the time this airs, my son will be 12 and almost 14, and they used to allow commitments in 8th grade for these lacrosse players, and what they found was these college teams that were picking up these 8th graders, 5 years later, these teams weren't very good, and I was thinking about this, so they changed the rules back to commit as a junior, and I was thinking about this, and I wasn't great when I was young. I kind of, I raced bicycles and I started to develop, and my older son is a little smaller, and, I was having the conversation with him, like, it's almost like a curse. I was telling him, for these kids that are big and fast and really good right now in 8th grade where he is, because I said, they don't really have to improve anymore. Like, they're really good as they are. They're getting the video highlights. They actually have like college scouts already looking at them, and, people aren't looking at kids like my son that are undersized. Do you have a similar story, Dean, that kind of helped that you mentioned that chip on your shoulder, which is why I asked. And, I think, keeping your head down and continuing to work and progress I think, that grit is what Michelle Duckworth talks about in her book that really drives success. What is that what you found in your career as well?
No question about it, man. I mean, I can say hands down, without question, that I was not the biggest, I was not the fastest, I was not the most athletic. There was infinite amount of those guys that I went up against. But for me, why was I able to continue to excel at each level? It's because I put in the work relentlessly, nonstop. And whether I was sick, not feeling like it, whatever it was, I'm there for every workout. I'm there to study film and be prepared. I took it seriously at every level, and that's what it took. And obviously taking care of my body right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
this is a big message for everybody. Not that you can't live your life the way you want to, but like high school, I didn't drink, you know. Does that mean I didn't go out to the parties? No, I was out to the
Yeah.
parties. I was out
Yeah.
till 5 or 6 in the morning when the sun was coming up, but I wasn't participating in the other stuff, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
In college, when everybody was doing drugs and drinking during the week and on the weekends, that wasn't me. You know, I was at home studying, getting my homework done, going to bed at a good time and being ready for workouts in the morning, you know.
Yeah.
It helped that I had a long distance relationship to keep me like out of trouble,
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
truthfully.
Yeah.
But for me, I think that's what allowed me to continue to perform and be in those positions.
No, I love that. And Malcolm Gladwell talks about in his book Outliers. He talks about that the fastest sprinters in the world, and I forget, he quotes like the top 10 fastest sprint times, which are held by like 7 or 8 sprinters, right? Because some have multiple of those times. Almost without a doubt, or almost without exception, they're all the youngest in their family. So they're chasing, their older siblings. And look, Dean, without a doubt, you had the talent, right? You had the talent to get to that level, right? It's, the proof's in the pudding, but there were other people that maybe had a little bit more talent than you. And we see this everywhere. There's always somebody more talented. There's always somebody out there. There's a couple people in the world, right, that there's nobody above them. But what defines those people is what you said. So if you're listening, I hope you can share that clip with your kids. I think, like Dean mentioned, the work ethic, the discipline. And one of my friends that I raced with won a national championship. He had one tattoo and it was across his back. It said discipline. And I'll never forget that, because that's what works out. So you make it to the NFL. You're living the fairy tale. How long did you play? What happened?
Yeah. I'll add one more thing to the list of items
please.
Talking about
Please do.
is attitude and being coachable. That's a huge thing. Man, did I see some people that were so gifted, they just had the wrong attitude. People that were so gifted just weren't coachable and weren't willing to listen and improve based on what the coach was saying. So, man, those are some intangibles that are important.
I'm glad you said that, because that's a big part. Again, you have the talent, you can even have the work ethic, but if you're too arrogant, if you're not humble enough to be able to look in the mirror, and when I had sales reps work under me, I always, when I said, hey, what happened here, and I had reps that would say, I didn't do anything wrong. It's like, whoa. Like, okay. Like, you put your hands up, you're like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I can't learn anything from this experience. If you have that mindset that there are always ways to improve. And that might be whether it's something you can actually physically do, or maybe it's just a way you can perceive things, or the way others are perceiving the way you're communicating, or something like that. And, that coachability is huge as well. And I think that'll lead nicely into, kind of some of the things you have, that you're working on now with your company as well.
Yeah.
So thanks for
of course
picking up there.
So going back to the story, living the dream, childhood dream comes true, playing great, feeling great. The only catch was that my main position in college and where I excelled was tight end. Okay. Now, when the Chargers signed me, Norv Turner moved me from tight end to fullback, right? We had Antonio Gates, Hall of Famer, Pro Bowler at tight end, moved me to fullback. Now, I played great at fullback, but the reality of that position is that you are a full-time battering ram, crash test dummy, just beating your head in every single play.
And how big were you at the time?
So 6'3", 255, big fullback.
Yeah.
And again, really good at it, but just the requirements of that position was go destroy everybody in sight. Yeah. And you got to run right through the middle of those guys. And when you're running through, the big, giant, massive offensive linemen, those gaps to run through that hole, you're the one that's create the hole. And so it's like shoulder width, you're not fitting up perfectly to the side. You're running right through them with your head. And that's when for me to be super effective. And I just felt that in my head so fast. And I just knew like all the alarms were going off in my head. And my body felt indestructible from the neck down. I mean, the nutrition, the physical therapy, everything second to none, with all the training staff and everything. But from the neck up, I mean, just the head-on collisions was too much, too fast. And I actually had to start icing my head after practice. It got that intense. So I just knew, all right, if I keep doing this, I'm gonna die. So I made the hardest decision of my life and said, I got to walk away. And that's what I did.
And how many years in, Dean, for the audience?
So this is in my first season.
Wow. Yeah, that's and you said you had a 3-year contract at the time as well.
Yep.
Wow. And look, this, it's almost unthinkable, right? You spent, so you were at the time, you were in your early 20s. How old were you exactly?
Yeah, 23, 24.
Yeah, so you're 23, 24. You started playing football at what age?
23, 20. Oh, I started playing sixth grade.
Sixth grade. So you've been playing, for your entire adult life, more than a decade. Tell us about, obviously you're talking about your head, but, in the physical aspect of your head, but talk about what went through your head from a mental perspective, because this is something I think, actually, this is a bigger thing. I think we don't talk about this in really American society. You talked about how, football, like alpha males, right? And, we have a lot in society now kind of saying, hey, like, all right, let's calm that type of energy down. But there are certain traits that we have innately, especially for somebody like yourself. Men go out, specifically speaking to men right now, you go out, you're successful, you're successful in your career. Look what we do in America. We say, oh, Dean, what do you do? And you say, oh, I'm a professional football player, or I'm a sales director at a company. I make this much money, and, I drive this car. I live in this neighborhood. We have a lot of pride with that. But I think even more so, we have an identity that's wrapped up around that.
100%.
So what was going through your head as you were saying, wait a minute, not only am I walking away from my dream, but you're changing really your identity. So how was that?
Yeah, it was really hard. It was really, really hard because my whole identity, like you said, was being a football player, and didn't really have any other skills or any other passions or desire, but to do just what I was doing. And so the thing is, though, I knew there was no other way. I had no other choice. If I kept doing that, I was going to injure myself beyond repair. And I saw, ESPN was now talking about concussion. I saw old veterans around that were just, glossed over in the eyes, and just thought to myself, gosh, if I keep doing this, I'm going to hurt myself so bad. And I think I use the analogy, it's like an egg. Once you crack an egg, the shell doesn't get better. It just gets worse.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was feeling at the moment. So without talking to anybody, without reflecting on it, without spending a lot of time to try to convince myself otherwise, I just made the quick, brash decision to like, all right, I'm moving on. And didn't look back, didn't talk to family, friend, my agent, anybody. And the perception, it was like, oh, it just didn't work out. But it was like, no, I have to move on.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I have to move on. And so that's what I didn't look back and didn't spend any time thinking about it, because I knew it was an unpopular decision. Like, it's almost crazy to walk away from something that everybody would possibly want to have,
Yeah. And I imagine that a lot of your peers and your family, your friends, they were also bought into that identity as well. So you probably, that's a very mature decision to do that, and really understand that you probably wouldn't have gotten the support that you needed from that group. They may have swayed you to counter to that. And what year was that?
This was back in 2011, 2012.
Yeah. So this is really where, Sue, what was the movie with the concussions in football came out, 5 years ago or so?
Something like that. I made sure not to watch it because I didn't want to know how bad it was.
It's not it's certain things you're like, after working in the OR a bunch of years in the med device space, it's like I don't need to see like any medical shows. Like, it's like real life is scarier and more entertaining than what they make it out to be in TV in the movies, right? So all right, so you step away. What did you already know you were going to go into real estate at that time? What next? Today's show is sponsored by Money Insights and their investment optimizer strategy. In my book, I share how I use this same strategy starting over a decade ago to invest my money in two places at one time. This strategy has been used by the wealthiest for generations for estate planning, minimizing taxes, preserving wealth, and increasing stability for their investments. Now you can do the same thing. In addition, you can build a plan to build an emergency fund, pay for college, fund a business, plan for retirement, and ultimately optimize your total financial picture. To find out more information, check us out at the banking link at nextlevelincome.com.
Yeah, I had no plans, no idea what in the world I was going to do. I had optimism, I had positivity, but I got a call from a good buddy that I played college football with, and he said, "Hey, I know you're done playing. What are you doing next?" I don't know. Said, "Well, I got a great opportunity for you at this big corporation in San Francisco. They're about to go public in a year. Like, this is what they're all." I'm like, "Dude, this is incredible. This sounds like exactly what I would want." And so he walked me past all the red tape, straight to the hiring manager, got me the job, and felt like, all right, this is the start of something new. I'm going to give it everything I got. And the funny part was, I went from a 7-figure contract to now a $65,000 salary in San Francisco, which is peanuts, like you're not even getting by. You're like a negative income.
Yeah. That gets you like a 2-bedroom tent in San Francisco,
Yeah. We had a studio, 424 square foot studio. And
I think my office is about that size here. So
yeah. And needless to say, money dried up fast and started living paycheck to paycheck, started to max out my credit cards. And it got so real for me that there was 1 month distinctly that bank account, a couple $100, credit cards basically maxed out, probably $10,000-$15,000, as much as I had on the limits. And my wife had just opened a Target credit card for $500 limit. We had to use that to buy groceries that month because that was the only available money we had. And I just remember this is a little out over a year of being in that corporate job, of realizing, okay, so what's next? Like, I'm supposed to get a pay raise here, right? So I talked to my manager. He goes and talks to whoever he talks to. He comes back. He's like, "We got you a pay raise from $65,000 to $67,000. And my gut was just in knots. And I was like, "Chris, dude, I got to do something about this." Yeah. And so I just went back to my studio, feeling embarrassed, feeling, low on life, and got on Google and typed in, what else do I even like? What do I even like? I don't even know. Like, I'm just barely getting started in the real world. And I just remember watching, HGTV with my parents and stuff like that made me think, well, maybe I'd be in real estate. How to get started in real estate? Type it into Google. And the first thing that pops up is a free podcast that says how to get started with little to money. And I was like, dude, that's me. That's me. I have little to no money. And so I click on it, start listening to it. And it's a podcast talking about how to get started with little to no money with wholesaling and how it all works. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is going to change my life. It's going to get me back to that dream life I saw was possible with the NFL. And I just became obsessed and took massive action day one and did my first deal right on my third month.
Awesome. And now what type of deal was it? So you're still in San Francisco, Dean, right?
Yep.
This is 2013, 14
2013
timeframe. Yeah. So we're coming out of the bottom. of the real estate market that bottomed like 2012-ish, 2013.
Yeah.
What type of deal did you do?
It was a wholesale deal.
Yeah.
Property I found on an online auction website called hudhomestore.com. And these are FHA properties that are in foreclosure, and you can bid on them right away if you're an owner occupant or a nonprofit within the first 30 days. After 30 days, investors can bid on them. And this was a strategy of the podcast. So I just started bidding on houses because I didn't have money to do marketing. So I was bidding on basically a free resource and got a property under contract, then went to go find a buyer, couldn't find a buyer. And I went back to the podcast host who was living in Arizona. And I was the same strategy in Arizona because he was telling me what he was doing in Arizona. And we worked together to sell that first deal.
Yeah.
And that was the most clever thing I could have done at the time. I actually went to his website and filled out the form like I was a seller, and his team called me. And
that's wild.
I'm like, well, here's the deal. I got a house under contract. No worries. Let me put you in contact with him, and he'll give you a call. So he sold it for me. We did our first couple deals together like that.
That's awesome. So for the audience that may not be familiar with wholesaling, I love this strategy, especially, like yourself, you're trying to get started. If you're listening to this podcast and thinking like, Chris, it'd be awesome to invest $100,000 into syndication, but I'm trying to make, $25,000 or $50,000 to put in the bank, to just get started. How does wholesaling work, Dean?
Yeah. So here's why I love wholesaling. Here's what it is. So wholesaling is basically a marketing and sales business in real estate. If you want to be a real technical person, technically not investing yet. You're not putting your money into an actual asset. The asset is this business you're creating around marketing and sales. You're marketing to homeowners that have a problem with their property or a financial situation, and they want to sell quickly. They're looking for convenience. This is about 5% of the market. 95% of people. Yeah.
Why would somebody do? Yeah. Cause this is the thing. I think a lot of people are like, why wouldn't somebody just go sell through a real estate agent? Why on earth would somebody sell at lower than market rate?
Yeah. 95% of the transactions are done with a realtor, done on the MLS. That's standard. But this particular audience of people, they are in some sort of situation. Life event happened, some sort of financial distress, some sort of person maybe inherited a property and has no sentimental value to it. They just want to offload it quickly, and they're searching out for that quick cash offer solution. So as you're marketing to that targeted audience and they're now responding to you, you're having conversations, you're now negotiating deals, finding out the best, outcome for them. You come to a decision and an agreement. Now you put a deal together, and now you're in business, right? Now the other side of that transaction is you actually finding a buyer. Okay, most wholesale deals, and the nature of a wholesale deal is not to actually buy it, not to even own it for one day, but to rather than market that property back again to a cash buyer audience, and they're looking for discounted off-market deals. So that's how it works. You find the deal, you then resell that deal to another buyer, and you get paid at close of escrow. So that's what is so great about it. You don't have the same risks of flipping a house, buying a rental, having to deal with contractors, deal with tenants. You get paid right then and there. And to give you guys a flavor, like I'm looking at my board here, you can make really good money wholesaling. We have a deal right here, $40,000, a deal right here, $38,000, $20,000, $35,000, $35,000, one for $39,000, one for $10,000.
That's profit, or how much you're buying these homes for?
That's profit.
That's impressive. And that's with no money, no money going in. And I love this.
No money going in.
The thing is, you mentioned it's like, your value is your business that you're creating. But
yes,
if there are people out there, most of our investors, high income professionals, surgeons, executives, salespeople, working 60, 80, 100 plus hours a week, doing very well, they don't have a lot of time. They got excess money. They want to invest that. If you're getting started, we have, resources on our website, how to create 20 to 40 more hours a week. What do you do at that time? You can go start a business like Dean's talking about, and it's a phenomenal way to get started. And what's cool is you can do this with land, you can do this with homes, you can do it. I mean, would you agree you can do it anywhere across the country, Dean?
Do it anywhere across the country. You can be any world and technically do it. I mean, I do it virtually. I'm not reliant on being physically where I'm doing these deals. You can do it all through different relationships. That's the beauty of it. It's all about the marketing and sales. And what I love about it is whether you're getting started or even experienced, it allows you to have better control of your cash flow. If you're running a business, it allows you to have better control of your cash flow because you are getting paid quicker. Your cash conversion cycle is so much faster, and it's more numbers and transactional focus. And you're not having to be someone who has a great eye for design. You're not having to know how to navigate, obstacles that come up when you're flipping a house or rentals. But you're really good at finding deals and negotiating deals. You then put yourself in the position to actually buy those assets to flip or keep as rentals.
Yeah.
You're the one that's a great deal finder now and have those resources and skills. Now you can cherry pick the best deals. And just as an example, the properties we have in inventory right now, and these are several $100,000 houses. These aren't like $1 million houses. We got one property we just put into escrow this morning that we'll close before the end of the year. We're going to make $130,000 on it. And we put no money in it. We bought it, closed on it, cleaned it, put it back on the market. We spent a couple $100, right? We got another flip here that we didn't do any work to it. It's going to close before the end of the year, $70,000. Another flip, we're going to make $54,000 on. And those are deals we cherry picked, right?
Yeah.
And decided to do. So that's what I love about wholesaling and why, whether you're just getting started or experienced.
Now, I love that. It's a way, again, like we were talking about, that you can create tremendous value, but also cash if you need it. Or you can create equity for yourself if you want to be an investor, but you don't have a lot of that. You can do it with a partner like you mentioned, Dean. You talked about a lot of great things today that I want to underscore. You talked about work ethic. You talked about discipline. You talked about the importance of health with our coaching clients. We always talk about wealth. People want to know how to make money. That's how they typically come to us. But number one, we set health goals, because without your health, as you mentioned, like what's the point that's out there? But you also mentioned something in passing. You said you went out and took massive action. That's something that I love that Tony Robbins says, like, have a plan, have a vision, but then you must take massive action. So if people are listening today, they're like, hey, I'm ready to take massive action. I want to learn how to do this. Dean, you actually built a whole coaching program and a mentorship program around, this method of wholesaling, right?
Yep. Yeah, 100%. So just real quick before I touch on that, what's important to share to the audience is it might sound like everything was easy for me, but it wasn't. When I left the NFL, I walked away from the money, not with the money. And I shared with you guys how money got really tight. Now, when I got into real estate, it started to open up that door to make money. Along my journey, I made some big mistakes though. Rushing into doing my flips, I actually lost $100,000 on my first couple flips. Bad contractors, using the wrong comps, doing all the things that a rookie investor often does and can get hurt. Well, I made all the rookie mistakes rushing into those first couple flips. I should have stayed wholesaling and get really good at knowing what deals look like. And then, I ended up having another situation later on where I got hurt, lost a bunch of money, rushing into a deal. And it was just a bad actor. It was actually someone who scammed me on a deal, and I lost $187,000. So again, getting really good at finding deals is where I like to focus. And that's what I teach my students. So I have my coaching program called the Wholesaling Playbook, and it's focused on how do you find deals? How do you negotiate deals? And then you choose what the best strategy is for you to get paid. Usually that's wholesaling to start. And this all started, Chris, kind of a quick funny story. This all started not because I had the intent or planned to actually have a coaching program. It started in my own local market. So when the whole world shut down and people were scrambling, wondering like, what am I going to do? Is real estate, like, can I run my business? I got the social media and let everybody know, hey guys, we're still doing deals. We're still doing deals. This is how we're finding deals. Look at some of the results we're getting. And then I opened it up to, hey guys, if you need help with your deals, bring your leads, bring your deals to me. I'll help you maximize those deals and make sure that we make the most amount of money together. In fact, we'll literally do all the work. Bring us someone who wants to sell. We'll do all the work. Our team will do the whole thing, and we'll split it 50-50. You get paid more doing less work, and we'll make sure the deal gets done right. And then it turned into what I call my Friends with Benefits program, making it fun. Like, hey, right now we're in the friend zone, but like, let's do it together. Let's become friends with benefits. Making money together is what it's all about.
You and Mila Kunis, right?
Exactly. That's right. So that became this fun program in my local market. They added $1 million of revenue to our business.
Oh, wow.
Which means it added that much to other people as well.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. And I realized it was so fulfilling. People then started to reach out and say, hey, can you coach me? Can you mentor me? Can you teach me how to do this? And I was like, no, I got my Friends with Benefits program. We can do a deal together. But then people from other places started reaching outside of my market. And I just, good friends like push and be like, you got to do it. You're great at it. You've got a passion for helping other people. I think this could be really great for you. So I started it in 2022, and it's been a little over a year now. And it's all been organic, word of mouth, through friends, podcasts, of speaking at events. And it's so fulfilling to help other people get results and to see it wins. I mean, I have some students that have made hundreds of thousands of dollars and done dozens of deals. And, that have like done it like within their first month and couple months. And it's pretty wild to impact at that level. And it's a passion project of mine. So if anybody is feeling like that's the right type of strategy for them based on where they're at, I would love for you to reach out. You guys can check me out at deanrogers.com and connect with me through there. So yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes, and then deanrogers.com/free if listeners want to reach out and get more access to your toolkit that you have online as well. Yeah,
so I have a free toolkit. If anybody's listening and wants some of the tools that I use on a daily basis in my business, deal analyzers, scripts, contracts, all those different type of things, more than happy to give those guys away to you guys for free.
Awesome, Dean. Well, look, if you're listening today, you're ready to take massive action, you want to learn more about Dean's program, we'll have the link in the show notes here. But Dean, I really appreciate you sharing your story. There's so many golden nuggets that you shared today that no matter where you are in your journey, I think they can impact you. Enjoyed getting to know you a little bit better and enjoyed everything you've been sharing. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, Chris here again. I hope you found this episode valuable. Now, I have one more thing to gift you. We have a page for my coaching clients where you can get a free copy of my book, as well as much more from previous guests on the show. Just check out nextlevelincome.com/coaching to get a free copy of my book, audiobook, and much more. I'll send you a copy of my book and cover all the shipping costs as a thank you for listening to the podcast. Also, please like, share, and take just 90 seconds to give us a rating on Apple Podcasts.